Hello guys, I'm Leanna, and I will tell you a story about my birth father, Arnold. Now, mind you, I won't be referring to him as Dad in my story. Why? Because that man is not worthy of being called a father. I know a lot of you may judge me for doing this, but I had a good reason why I don't call him Dad anymore. I just don't, and he's just Arnold to me. What can I do? My birth father did everything possible to make sure I knew how much he devalued me. It all started when he broke up my family to marry his mistress. My mom, Donna, was devastated when she caught Arnold cheating on her for a whole year. Arnold was supposed to be the love of her life, the man who she should have grown old with. Imagine her surprise when the same casually informed her that he didn't care about her and wanted to start a new life with his mistress. I hated that fricking woman who stole my birth father away from me, but it was my mom who encouraged me to try and give them a chance. She never talked badly about them and encouraged me to give Arnold's new wife respect. So I tried very hard to like her. I was only 7 back then and was finding it difficult to have my birth father part-time. My stepmother's hatred for me didn't make things better either. When I was 9, my birth father started to drop me home with Mom more often than necessary. He always had plans with his wife for which he had to cut his visits short. He returned me home early in his days of custody and eventually signed over full custody to my mom. I still remember the day very vividly. I was begging for my birth father to spend time with him. My mom had called him over to her house because I was a mess. I said to Arnold, "Dad, I miss you. You don't even come to see me anymore. Did I do something wrong? Are you angry at me?" "I'm not angry at you, Liana. Your dad needs some space for now. I have my new family to take care of, you know." But Dad, you're always with your wife. I don't get to have some time with you at all. Don't be so jealous of your stepmother, Liana. I have some serious responsibilities towards her now. I can't just show up every time you need me. That is why you will be staying with your mom full time now. My little brain didn't comprehend the fact that he was actually talking about abandoning me for good. I held on to the little hope that my dad wouldn't do that to me. I was young and stupid. I was also hurt by what my father said. So I cried and said, "Dad, are you leaving me? Will I never see you again?" "It's not like that, Liana. I have to take care of my new family and give you siblings as well. I will have a lot of responsibilities on my plate. You already have your mom, so everything will be fine. I promise I will come get you when you have new siblings." "But what about me, Dad? I want you in my life too. I need my father." "Liana, you shouldn't be so selfish and make things difficult for me. Everything is already settled and you will be living with your mom full time. I will try to visit. But you cannot just call me whenever you feel like it. You're a big girl now, and you should understand." That's all my father had to say to me. I cried like crazy that night. I sobbed my heart out away in my mom's arms. Later, her then boyfriend Nathan came over and comforted me too. For months, I kept expecting my birth father to come back and tell me that he was just joking. Months passed, and then years later, he never came back for me. Eventually, I stopped wanting to see him. Mom had already married Nathan, who did an excellent job of filling the role of my father. It was he who made me feel like I had a full family. The last time I tried to contact my father was when I was 12. He never called back and didn't see me either. Actually, I didn't see my father for 10 whole years and rarely spoke with him after he disappeared from my life. Mom tried to talk some sense into him, but that didn't work either. So I told her not to bother anymore. I had her and Nathan with me. It was more than enough. Arnold had the audacity to come back into my life when I was 19. It was just so out of the blue that I didn't know what to think of it. It had been 10 years since I saw him or even talked to him properly. In fact, he didn't even have my personal number. He called my mom and demanded to talk to me. Apparently, he wanted to be back in my life. When my mom informed me about it, I simply told her to tell him that I wanted nothing to do with him. I was serious about what I said. It had been years, and the rage inside me hadn't died down at all. Arnold had no right to ask for communication now. Besides, he may not have known that I was actually not his child anymore. I wanted to throw that at his face, and I got a marvelous opportunity for it. Despite my mom's clear warning to my birth father, he randomly showed up at our house. When my mom opened the door, you can imagine our surprise when we saw Arnold standing there. He was looking very cheerful and ran inside to try and hug me. After having the most awkward hug of my life, I managed to push him away. If things had gone my way, he wouldn't be hugging me at all. But I couldn't escape in time, and he caught me by surprise. I stepped back, and Mom said, "What are you doing here, Arnold?" "What do you think I'm doing here, Donna?" "I've come to see my only daughter. You look so surprised, as if I hadn't made myself clear over the phone." "And I remember making it clear that Liana wants nothing to do with you. You are not welcome here, Arnold. I don't know why you thought showing up unannounced would be a good idea." "You already turned me down when I asked to visit. I don't want to hear some bullshit excuse of how my own daughter doesn't want to see me, so I took matters into my own hands and decided to visit. Liana, how are you, my dear daughter?" Arnold spoke to me as if he hadn't just appeared in front of me after 10 freaking years. It was one of the most surreal experiences of my life. When I was young and Arnold had just made his declaration of stopping visits, I had been imagining this scenario in my head. I used to dream of the day that my birth father would show up and tell me how his previous words were lies. For the longest time, I desperately wanted him to come back and say that he would never abandon me like that. Night after night, I cried in my mom's and Nathan's arms, trying to understand what I did to drive my birth father away. Now that he's back and those dreams have come true, I feel nothing but anger. I looked at Arnold with a bewildered expression and said, "Wait a damn minute. What the hell is going on? Why are you here?" "I miss my daughter, so I'm here to see her. Your mom knew that I had been wanting to see you. Didn't she tell you?" "Yes, she told me. But she must have also told you how I want nothing to do with you anymore." "Come on, Liana. I know you're a little upset at me, but that hurts a lot. You are my precious daughter, and I really miss you a lot." "Cut the crap. Why the hell are you here? Weren't you busy trying to focus on your brand new family?" Arnold at least had the decency to look embarrassed when I hit him with that. He wasn't trying to deny anything because these were his own words. He looked ashamed, but I didn't find it in me to care. Instead, I was raging mad that he dared to cross my boundaries and randomly show up at my house. Arnold knew that he couldn't avoid this question, so he quietly said, "Liana, I know I had pushed you away in the past. I was trying to have kids with my wife, and I kind of pushed you at the back burner. I knew I couldn't give you my full attention, so I backed away." "Then what happened? What made you suddenly remember that you had fathered a child already?" "It's not like that, Liana. We struggled to have children for years. We found out after a few years that we couldn't have any. We tried everything before giving up. It took me and my wife some time to come to terms with the news. She had a hard time being around you and being reminded of the fact that she can't give me kids. It was a tough decision to make, Liana." Those were details that I hadn't heard before. He didn't tell me those before, possibly because I was too young to understand them. Hearing those details now didn't diminish even a little bit of anger in me. Instead, it lit my heart on fire. It pained me to know that I was so easy to cast aside. I said, "So, why are you back now? Did your wife suddenly decide that she can tolerate me after all?" "It was joint decision, Liana. I didn't want to stay away from my daughter anymore. You are and always will be my one and only child. I was able to make my wife see reason and come around. We're both ready to accept you, Liana." Oh God, what a generous and empathetic couple. Do you expect me to cry tears of gratitude at those words? It was pure sarcasm on my end. Arnold looked like he hadn't expected me to react this way. I had no idea why he would think I would go along with his sorry excuse and do what he wanted. He really was a clueless and senseless man. Possibly a little narcissistic too, since he thinks the world will do whatever he wants. He gulped and tried to smile when he said, "My dear daughter, don't be so angry at your father. I have come back to you, see? I'll make things right." "I already told Mom to inform you that I want nothing to do with you. You wanted to hear that from me, didn't you? Here it is then. Leave and don't come back. I don't want you in my life." But I'm your father, Liana. Can you be so cruel to me?" "You have no right to call me cruel. When you nonchalantly abandoned me 10 years ago, you made it clear that I had no place in your life anymore. I made a mistake back then. You are my only child, Liana. Your father needs you in his life. Please don't push me away. I will make up for all the time I have lost with you. I'm going to be a good father to you, Liana." The man who called himself my father was now near tears and was desperately begging for my forgiveness. He really did want to have a relationship with me after all. It was too bad that he suddenly remembered me after he realized that he would never have kids again. That was what made him crawl back to me. It wasn't just fatherly love that came out of the blue. I was just a backup child for him. What he didn't realize was that I wasn't even a backup child for him anymore. I actually laughed at him and said, "What makes you think that I would accept your sudden fatherly love? Do you expect me to pity you for not having more children?" "Liana, please don't talk to me like that. You're breaking my heart. You don't know how sorry I am that I left you. I really wanted to reach out sooner, but I had obligations too." "You mean the new family that you left me and Mom for? Yeah, that makes things so much better, right?" "Liana, please. I'm just asking for a single chance. I want to know my daughter. I want to be there for your next milestones. I want to walk you down the aisle when it's time. I want my child back, Liana." Arnold was now pathetically crying and still begging me to forgive him. He had made up some ridiculous dreams in his head where I would suddenly allow him to be my dad after 10 freaking years. In his head, it would be like these 10 years didn't even exist. Some delusions my bio dad can have, seriously, guys. His crying and relentless begging were getting annoying, so I decided to just break the truth of his situation to him. I really did want to see the look on his face when I would tell him about my upcoming party. I said, "You will never get your child back, Arnold. I'm not your child anymore." "What? What do you mean, Liana? Why are you calling me by my name? I'm your father. You need to call me Dad. You shouldn't call me by my name." "No, Arnold, you don't have the right to be called my dad anymore. I have made a decision about my life already. It was long due, and now it is finally happening. Here, this invitation is for you. Now that you're here, you might as well join our celebrations too." Arnold looked really confused when I handed him a very beautiful invitation. Nathan and I had carefully picked up the invite as another one of our bonding experiences. It was for a special occasion that was for both of us. It only felt right that the two of us would make most of the arrangements. Arnold had no idea what the occasion was about until he read what was written inside. As soon as he did that, his eyes bulged out and he started to silently cry again. He looked at me with a pained expression and said, "What? What is this, Liana? This can't be true. You can't be doing this. Tell me this is just a cruel joke." "Why would I joke about something like that, Arnold? I already told you that I'm not your child anymore. Nathan adopted me last month. We applied for adult adoption and I got my name changed legally as well. I don't even bear your last name anymore." No, this can't be happening. You are not getting adopted by some strange man. I won't let this happen. I never consented to this adoption. I will go to court." "Seriously, Arnold? And what exactly would you tell the judge? This is an adult adoption, so no one needed your permission for it. You will be laughed out of court if you go down that path." "Donna, you can't let this happen. You should know better. Liana is acting on impulse and not thinking straight. She's young and immature, but you are not. You should stop her from being adopted by a strange man." Arnold desperately turned to my mom for support. I had no idea why he would think that my mom would support him. Maybe he thought that she would again tell me to try and have a relationship with him like she did years ago. But that was in the past, and my mom knew better. She knew very well that this poor excuse of a man doesn't deserve any more chances. If anything, she looked furious at the suggestion that she try and stop me. She said, "Who are you calling a strange man, Arnold? Nathan has raised Liana for the last 10 years. He is father to her in all aspects that are relevant." "You are taking Liana's side too, Donna. You're going to let her work out her childish plan about severing ties with me." "Who am I to stop her, Arnold? And who are you to say that it's childish? You are the one who severed ties with her. You clearly told her that you need to concentrate on your new family." "I made a mistake, Donna. I don't understand why you guys are still making me suffer for it. It's been years." "Exactly, Arnold. It's been years already. All you have to do is reach out once a month just to make sure your own child is well. But no, you were too busy trying to have a new child with your new wife and make a perfect family. You reap what you sow, Arnold. This is the result of your karma." Arnold now understood very well that my mom wouldn't help him anymore. She was as done with his shit as I was. She wasn't going to stand up for him and encourage his stupid demands. My birth father now turned to Nathan to beg him to make me change my mind. He tearfully looked at him and said, "Nathan, trust me, I have nothing against you. I don't have any ill feelings towards you. You must understand my situation. Liana is my little girl. She's my blood. Please tell her to reconsider. Blood is thicker than water, you know, right?" "You have some nerve-wracking requests from me, Arnold. Liana is my little girl, too. Your blood means nothing to her or me. I was here when she needed a father. I was here when she cried herself to sleep after you failed to show up to her events and said that you didn't want to contact her anymore. But you need to understand, Nathan. You are not her real dad, and never will be. She is my daughter, and nothing will change that." My birth father stubbornly kept saying how I would always remain his daughter. The comment he made about Nathan not being my real dad also got on my nerves and pissed me off. He had some audacity in trying to belittle Nathan. I was getting furious at the way Arnold was reminding Nathan that he would never be related to me by blood. As if it would make any difference to me. My birth father was trying to play on Nathan's emotions. Unfortunately for him, it had the total opposite effect on everyone. I thundered at him and said, "How dare you, Arnold? Who are you to tell me who my real dad is? Nathan has raised me for the last 10 years. He was there for me when you were busy building a new family. Nathan is my real dad in all senses of the word. You were just a sorry excuse for that." "Liana, please don't say those things. I know I pushed you away, but you are not even giving me a chance to prove myself this time. Please don't do this, Liana. Don't replace your real father with someone else." "Oh, Arnold, I think it's too late for that. As I said, the papers are already signed. Nathan is my dad now, and he will be that for the rest of my life. He will be the one I will call Dad, and he will be the one getting all the privileges of being my dad. Meanwhile, you will be erased from my life forever, just like you wanted all these years." "Liana, no, you can't do that to me. Since the papers are already signed, I cannot stop Nathan from adopting you. But it doesn't change anything for me, Liana. I want you in my life. A piece of paper will not stop me." No, maybe a piece of paper will not stop you, but I will be the one stopping you, Arnold. I had made my decision a long time ago. I want nothing to do with you. You will leave my dad's house right now. Arnold's eyes bulged out when I asked him to leave. Somehow it still hadn't gotten into his head that I won't be changing my mind. Every time he talked about being my biological dad, I wanted to barf and claw at my own eyes. Somehow his words, instead of encouraging me to accept him, made me think of other things. I started to really wish that I wasn't born with his stupid genes. Anyway, the longer Arnold stayed, the madder I was getting. Mom and Nathan, who is now my dad, sensed this right away and said, "Liana's right, Arnold. You need to leave. You are stressing out my daughter, and I will not indulge in that behavior of yours." "No, you can't kick me out. I will not leave until I have my daughter's forgiveness. I won't let anyone steal my daughter." "I have said this once, and I will say this again. I am not your freaking daughter. Nathan is my father. Now, you should just leave before I ask him to call the cops on you. Don't bother showing up or harassing me again." "My daughter's right, Arnold. You need to leave before I take matters into my own hands and call the freaking cops on you." "Oh, by the way, don't bother showing up at the adoption party. We will throw you out. I extended the invitation out of courtesy, but you clearly can't appreciate anything good in life. So consider yourself uninvited, and if you show up and harass me or my family again, I will file a restraining order." Arnold was now looking completely defeated, as no one was taking his side. Mom actually went straight to the door, opened it, and pointed him towards the way out. In the end, he hung his head and walked out. After he was gone, I actually hugged my dad and Mom while they comforted me and told me how much they loved me. I am truly blessed to have a family like mine. The adoption party was a huge success, except for one minor inconvenience. Arnold showed up with his mistress wife in tow and tried to talk sense into me. Suffice it to say, that didn't work out very well in their favor. In fact, the whole family was there to berate them for what they did to me. One thing to note is that Arnold's family actually stayed in contact with me. My biological paternal grandparents and even uncles stayed in my life and were heavily involved in it as well. Initially, his family had tried to get Arnold to reason and not abandon me out of the blue. He didn't listen to any of them. Naturally, the hurt and bitterness made them have a bad relationship with Arnold. Meanwhile, my relationship with them remained unaffected. They were present at the party and were ready to tear into Arnold and his horrible new wife. They even supported Nathan in adopting me and said that he was the best dad I got. And guess what, guys? My grandparents disinherited Arnold and were leaving his share of the inheritance to me. You can imagine Arnold's wife's reaction when she heard that. They threw a tantrum and were promptly kicked out. It was truly a day to remember. In the next few days, Arnold and his wife amped up their harassment now that they knew I was getting their share of the inheritance too. They kept pestering me and even dared to show up at my university to apologize. Campus security had a field day with their tantrums. They were behaving so irrationally that my own university called the cops on them. Let's just say they are in deep trouble and currently going through a lawsuit. Oh, I almost forgot to mention that I did end up getting a restraining order against them after this fiasco. So they have no way of contacting me anymore. I seriously can't thank God enough that Arnold abandoned me at the right time. If he hadn't, perhaps I wouldn't have gotten an amazing father like Nathan. We are having a great life together, and I seriously couldn't have asked for more. I can definitely see Arnold showing up and causing trouble after the restraining order is lifted, but I don't care anymore. I know I have my awesome mom and dad by my side who will help me keep him away from us for good.